In today's video, we're going to be looking at one very interesting CTF that I found on PicoCTF. It's now called Scilab Security Academy. You can definitely go check it out. And under the Learn tab, you'll find out Challenge Library in which you can attempt this for yourselves. Now, it's an easy rated one, but there's a lot to learn from it, especially when you're starting out just like me. So the challenge says that, oops, somebody accidentally sent an important file to a network printer. Can you retrieve it from the print server? So the rest of the information that you're seeing, the printer is on this specific port and you can try the specific command. It will only be visible to you once you launch the instance and not immediately before launching the instance, because this port keeps on changing, probably because the way the challenge is set, and it has to be hosted somewhere, right? So you can launch the instance. If you are having any issues, you can always click on restart. So for example, let's say I just click on this, right? I haven't started anything, so it will not cost me my progress. But now that I've restarted my instance, you can see I've got a fresh 15 minutes to complete this challenge, and the port has changed for me. Now, the first command to see challenge asks us to complete, and let me just make it a little bit bigger for you so that the text is not tiny. I hope this is big enough, even though it hurts my eyes, but it is what it is. So the first command that you see is we're just using netcat, and we're using it in a mode wherein the -z flag or the -z flag is used for zero input output, which is just scanning. So what this means is that it will connect to a port, the port that we're having over here, but it will not send or receive any data. So we're just trying to confirm whether or not the printer, the network printer, is actually present on this port. You can either run this command and it will give you a positive output. You can also run nmap from your own terminal. Let me show you how to do that. So just make this a little bit bigger, all right? And let me do, I have this copied over here. You can type it if you want to. And I'll specify the port, which is 5121. So we'll do this, and hopefully this works for us. It does, and it confirms that over the port 5121.9 there's a TCP connection that is open. Now that we've confirmed it, it is, before we even try and attempt to complete this challenge, we must already start thinking that if it's a printer share, what might be a possible network protocol that might help us solve this challenge. So one of the most common protocols that fit the picture is called SMB, or Server Message Block. SMB is the standard protocol for Windows-based networks when we're looking to share files and printers between nodes on a network. All right, so if you can just go over and look at some hints. So both the hints point us toward SMB protocol, right? And there are two CLI tools that are mentioned over here, which is SMB client and SMB util. So when I looked at the possible syntax for this one at Google, here is something interesting that I found out. SMB client is a client that can talk to SMB servers, such as the one we suspect to be running here, right? So the syntax for that is really simple. Let me use it in our current case and I'll show you what it means exactly. So you can just write SMB client -l. I'll give the server that we are trying to reach over here. And I'll also give the port that we are having, which is 5121.9. and I'll just add a dash n. So the L is the URL that we're trying to ping. My dash P is for the port that we're trying to reach, and dash N is to specify that we will not be using a password and we will be accessing the SMB interface as a guest. Let us try and see if this works for us. I'll just give it a few minutes and you can already see that something's loading up. So you see that shares is a directory in the SMB client, and it says that it's a public share with guest. So I'm assuming as a guest we can try and access this. Let's see if we can do that again. Just give a second. So this does confirm that SMB is running and there is a shares directory we can take a look at as a guest. So let us try the following command to just try and get access to the URL that we're trying to get. There should be 2 forward slashes over here. I'll just add those and we'll just specify the port. And okay, we have to mention the directory as well. Then we'll specify the port 2129, and again we'll say that we want to access it as a guest. Let's see if this works. Hopefully it should. Okay, so just like you might have had experience with FTP, right? There is an FTP client that we're going to get access to as guest in some of the challenges that we attempt. We also have access to an SMB client, and let's see if we can try and list the various files that are present inside the shares directory, because this is the one that we try to gain access to. So I'll say ls. Let's see, we do have a flag.txt here, right? Now, just like FTP, if let's say you try to carry it out, right? Let me try and do this. It will say that command not found. The reason behind this is we are inside a SMB client and not a Linux shell. So instead of doing this, let me try and do get flag.txt just like we do in FTP. I'll do that. And it seems that it has been successful. I'll exit out of this interface and let me see if I can. Alright, I think this is the one we're looking for. I'll just get out the contents. And there we do have it. I will be blurring out the exact flag, but the important lesson that we know here is that network services, just like the printer that we're having over here, can actually be exposed as SMB shares even on non-standard port, right? So we had a port that we would never have suspected. It's a randomly high port, but the only thing we need to do in these kind of challenges is identify the protocol and not rely on the standard port that it usually runs on. Again, just like we saw, we had a misconfigured SMB share which had guest access to every file it has, and this can often leak sensitive files without any exploitation and just doing some proper enumeration. The important thing I got to know personally through this is that SMB client is a very important network protocol, and I'll probably not forget it, even though I will definitely forget the syntax and the fact that we used a tool called SMB client. But whenever I think of a printer in the future, I'm definitely going to remember that there is something called SMB which can exist on network printers. It's actually one of the most common protocol used in these network services. So I hope you got to learn something from this video. If you did, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks and have a good day. Bye-bye.